And welcome into take 2 of the Paid and Panic podcast. This is our second time recording. Chris and I went way off topic. We got very upset. We had a big argument. We decided to cut it out because I don't think you would have been interested in hearing it. But
Yeah, it was
we're here
16
now.
minutes of Adam saying I'm not a real fan for watching
Don't start. I'll do
alone
it
the
again.
Saints games. My point was they're in a rebuild.
Don't start. I'll do
They
it
don't have
again.
any future pieces.
We'll do this
I'm
again.
just going to watch them on Red Zone with the other 8 games. That was our whole argument. We're going to save you all 16 minutes. We're going to go over 5 of the best games this season. We're going to give you a Week 7 recap and talk more about those Monday night games. Adam.
You're making me want to do it again. You're making me want to do it again.
I'm just letting the audience know. They're curious to see why it's take 2.
I'm just saying, Jets fans would have watched the Jets game the entire way through today. All right.
God help them.
Here we go. All right, so as Chris and I, we're restarting this for the second time, so I'm trying to think of what we need to say. How do we open the last one? So we talked about it was a really slow start to the day. The Rams beat the Jags 35-7, was a domination game. Matthew Stafford looked great. And then the 1 o'clock games, really sluggish, slow. Chris's upset pick failed with the Jets, weren't able to get it done in a great shootout, 13-6 against the Panthers.
All the Midwest, or all like the Central games, the wind just seemed to like be messing them up. The Browns were not impacted by it, but the Dolphins were.
Well, they were impacted by it. They just ran the ball down the Dolphins' throats. They didn't have to throw it.
The Dolphins know a run is coming, and they still couldn't stop it.
Well, but the wind doesn't affect the run.
Well, the wind though makes so you can't pass.
Well,
and the Dolphins,
Browns were
So he's like, if you know the team can't pass, they have to then run. Therefore, your defense gets set to run, and the Dolphins' run defense especially, is so bad couldn't even do it. Quinshon Judkins, 3 touchdowns.
Quinshon Judkins a beast. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Dude's a stud. I said during their London game, I said, this dude's legit. Holy smokes.
But now, like, I think having 3 touchdowns, that's like, your name is like, who's that guy, you know?
Yeah, he's playing well. Dylan Gabriel didn't play bad today, didn't make mistakes, and that was the big thing. They didn't need him to do much, just don't turn the ball over, and he did that. He's one of those guys, high floor, low ceiling. He's big.
Tua did turn the ball over.
Yes.
At the end of that Dolphins game, the pick that he had looked just a completely depleted Tua, just like, eyes closed, let me just throw it and see where it goes. It was bad by the end. I'm confused at how Mike McDaniel still has a job, because we've been talking for weeks about how he's going to be the first coach fired. He's officially not going to be that since Brian Callahan on the Tennessee Titans was fired.
In his defense, Brian Callahan was the worst coach in football.
He was the worst coach.
Yes.
But because it was his second year, rookie QB, we thought he had more time. I think deservingly he did not.
Mm-hmm.
But McDaniel, who we thought bad vibes the whole year going into it, they've won 1 game only against the Jets. We thought he'd be the first gun, and they might just be picking him over Tua at this point, because it seems like he's about to tank Tua's value and maybe even bench him. But he's still there. I don't know what happens there.
I have a weird feeling, and this is just, I think Tua's going to enter quarterback wasteland, and by that I mean he's going to be the starter for the Las Vegas Raiders next year.
I don't think that could be worse for the Raiders. Talking QB wasteland, Geno Smith was not a waste. He was supposed to come in, be an adult, be able to run an offense competently. He got shut out today by Kansas City. Okay, they lost Jacoby Myers for the game. Jacoby Myers does not make that difference. That was just going to be a bad game, no matter what happened. Brock Bowers, I know, is another piece, but Geno Smith does not look good at all. He did not have a completion in the second quarter. It was at the very end of the third quarter. He did a little dump-off pass, and a graphic popped up and said, first completion since the first quarter. That is unacceptable. Yeah. Ashton Jeanty wasn't even running the ball. It was just incompletions every play.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. That is probably, if you talk about worst QBs right now, I'm surprised that Geno would be on the list, but I think he had to be.
Chris, I do want to say, I'm going to pat myself on my back. I don't do this a lot, but I did tell you this was coming. I said the Chiefs were going to dog walk them, and they did. I said Rashee Rice was going to play great, and he did. Chiefs are looking good, man. They're playing some football right now. I mean,
I don't know how we didn't talk about this, but probably the easiest bet in sports was Rashee Rice to score a touchdown. And I believe he scored 2.
Yep.
The Chiefs were like, we got our toy back. Let's show him off. And let's show everyone that we're going to be great with them. And they were just force feeding him the ball in the red zone. And the Raiders did get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense is back. I think It's just weird, man. The Chiefs just look bad and broken, and then they're just back like that. And now you're dealing with
Well,
Mahomes again, and now they look like the favorite all over.
because I think the reason they looked bad and broken were they were missing their two best receivers, and now they're both back, and it's like, oh,
There was
oh.
more to it than just
Well,
that.
yeah, but
Like-
now that Andy Reid can scheme it up, and Patrick trusts the guys he's throwing the ball to, and now it's like, oh boy, he got weapons. They're starting to run the ball a little better. Now that might say
Another
more about the
interesting
Raiders.
thing-
but-
I don't know if this is a leadership thing or what, but Mahomes, whenever someone got hurt twice, I saw him run onto the field to carry them off the field.
Mhm.
It was kind of weird. I was like, I'm surprised Mahomes ran on to help some defensive player off the field. That was
Best
kind of
in the
strange.
business. He's the best in the business for a reason.
I think he's on his like redemption good guy. Like we just lost, and now I'm gonna be a nice good dude. Whereas like I think the last few years people started to like hate him and the Chiefs, but
yeah,
I
but
think
the
they finally
Chiefs never
lost.
did. Yeah, but the Chiefs never did. Like,
But I think they kind of embraced that like no one wants them to win.
they're still
but,
doing
like-
that, by the way. They're still.
I know,
into
but I
it.
think winning two straight, going into the third, you're hated. Now I don't think there's the same animosity as much as there was.
I see you stayed off Lions Twitter over the last week, then, because that was an interesting one on the illegal touchdown for Jared
I'm
Goff.
not. They talked much about that. We talked about that in the last podcast.
Yeah,
that was
but I'm
ridiculous.
saying
So-
that you would talk about the Chiefs being not hated. If you go on NFL Twitter after any Chiefs game, here we go.
teams don't want to accept sometimes that the refs make the right call, and that's all that's that.
That's just sometimes
But-
what I say. If you get the call right, you get the call right, and they've done that somewhat.
That
I'm not
was
saying
probably well, that Lions game was fine. The Chiefs game too was probably the most boring game of all the early games, just because of how much it was a
Domination.
blowout immediately.
yeah. I mean, at least the Jets Panthers game, yeah, there was a chance the Jets might have accidentally stole it. I mean,
Yeah, and honestly, sadly, once Justin Fields got hurt, I thought, okay, the Jets might win. Their closest win this year was against the Buccaneers when Tyrod came in.
yeah, it's true. Well, second closest or tied for closest because they had the Steelers game week 1 too.
The Steelers game, I don't listen. The Buccaneers game, the Bucks literally stole that game back. That Steelers
Well, after
game,
the
Jets
Bucks,
played
the
great.
Bucks handed them the game. It was a blocked field goal return for a touchdown that gave them the
I
lead.
think that's partial. That's not really giving it away, but whatever. Let's move on to the better games, Adam. Maybe some of the best games that we've seen.
There were some good games. Well, we didn't even get to the 4 o'clock hour yet. Calm down.
That's what I mean. Let's get to the
Oh,
best.
I thought you wanted to
games.
get because we said we were going to rank the top 5 games of the year. I thought
I
you were
was
just
giving
skipping
you
over
a
the
transition,
4 o'clock
Adam.
hour.
Come on, chip,
No, but
chop. Let's go.
Let's get to the 4 o'clock hour. Jonathan Taylor is
My guy.
phenomenal. Your guy.
Adam, he's on my fantasy team with Bijan Robinson. He's my guy.
Yeah, he's his guy. Chris barely talks about him on the pod, but he's his guy. Yeah,
We don't, Adam. We talk a lot of Colts, and every time the Colts come up, I go, Daniel Jones, there's guys like Jonathan Taylor. He's the first guy I mention.
Yeah, I think we talk about Tyler Warren a lot more than we
You
talk
do.
about Jonathan
I'm not the
Taylor.
Penn State fan on here. I'm a fair weather Penn State fan.
You are a fair weather. You didn't watch the Penn State Iowa
I
game,
am
did you?
literally a fair weather Penn State fan. If it was
you-
good weather, I'd go to the game. When it was bad weather, I would not go.
You didn't watch the Penn State Iowa game, did you?
I watched the fourth quarter when I came home
About
from dinner.
broke everything. That's all you got to know. It was frustrating. It was very. I have a problem. I have an Iowa problem.
Shout out my
Mentally,
brother-in-law again. Second straight week of getting a mentioned big. Chris, they lost to Iowa, man. Season
they-
really fell apart. I'm
they
like,
don't-
okay, but now they don't have their quarterback, so it's okay.
Or their head coach.
Or their head coach. I'm like, but like, so this, like losing to Iowa was not the problem. It was the
No,
other three.
no. I came in. I said I'm going to be calm. They're going to lose anyway, so I'm just going to have fun. See how the guys play. Hopefully they play hard, and they did. But they got up, which means I got too invested. They got the pick on the first drive, and I was right back into Penn State. I was already I was talking playoff, like, oh, if they went out and go 9-3, oh boy, they have it down.
Yeah, I know. It's like, hey, if they beat Iowa and they beat Indiana, they beat Ohio State, they can make the playoffs. So I'm like, stop putting that in my head.
They haven't beat a Power 4 team yet, so it's frustrating. It's been a tough year, but no, Penn State keep moving. But anyway, that's Jonathan Taylor played really well, and the Colts get the big win over the Chargers
The whole
as they
team played
continue.
well. Taylor played
Yeah.
great, but
Yeah,
Daniel
3 touchdown
Jones.
games. You know, Jonathan Taylor has more 3-touchdown games than the Jets do this season.
He has 3.
Yeah,
I looked
Jets
at his
have 2.
thing and I'm like, I looked at him like 3 touchdowns. Like he's done that a bunch of times this year. That's crazy. And Tyler Warren got a touchdown. Pittman got a nice easy touchdown. And they set it up with the play action. Jonathan Taylor. The Colts look great. We've talked about this every week, but this was against the Chargers, and I know the Chargers aren't the Chargers from like week 1 and 2 when they were killing everyone. But this was like the second real good Colts win. The first was against the Broncos on that weird play, though. The Rams was their best opponent that they lost to. But this is a real win. And I think we're seeing, like, all right, like, they keep doing this. Even the good teams are losing or getting unnecessarily close to bad teams. The Packers, who we all like and loved in the beginning, they barely beat Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals. The Colts don't do that. And at the end of the game, I mean, the Chargers kept scoring, so the Colts kind of had to keep putting their foot on the gas. But they give Daniel Jones the ball, and he throws it to get the first down to ice the game. They're not just playing it safe. They actually trust him. They seem to be running very well, running the ball, and also just operating very smoothly, and everything just looks like it's right on offense. Defensively, Charvarius Ward got hurt last week during warmups. That hurts.
That was a wild start to that game because Anthony Richardson got hit.
Okay, the Anthony Richardson one. Not that it's funny, but the fact that he got hurt during like a band workout and bands are supposed to be easy, and I'm imagining the band just snapped and whacked him in the orbital bone that broke.
I don't think that's exactly what happened, but probably something.
I think it like
that.
fell off of his foot or whatever and just went slingshot to his face. But
no, but that was a wild start to that game against the Cardinals last week. 2 guys get injured in warmups. Never ideal for the head coach to have to deal with. But
also, I know though that technically the Colts-Cardinals game was close last week, and I just said the Packers were close to the Cardinals. The Cardinals were leading against the Packers, and the Packers had to come back. At least the Colts were like always ahead of the Cardinals, and the Cardinals
had the ball inside the 10-yard line with a chance to take the lead with like 2 minutes left.
But that is, I would take that so much more than the Packers having to claw their way back into a game against the Cardinals.
You never know, man. Sometimes you gotta grind. Colts got the Titans next week, so should not be any problems. They're at home, and then they go to Pittsburgh, so tricky game there. Coming out, going to play Aaron Rodgers and them on the road, so it's be pretty tough because you never know. Well, you never know the elements. Weather could be a factor in that game, big time.
Are you joking about my Scott Hansen quote?
Oh, you did. I wasn't even talking about that.
Scott Hansen said, "There's weather today in Chicago," and I was like, "There is always weather." I know what he meant. There's like difficult conditions.
You're the only one who read into it. Everybody knew what
Listen, I like Scott Hansen a lot. I think he has a very difficult job, but sometimes he says some things because I think he's just talking to fill in the non-stop show for 7 hours. I get it.
He's got a long job.
He does. But it was like, there's weather there today.
Have you seen the behind-the-scenes videos of him, like, doing his job?
I think a few years ago they started posting a lot more, and I like watched it. And I listened to a podcast he was on, I think with Ryan Russillo.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's a cool dude. And the way he broke it down, I was like, he's doing play-by-play for like 16 games.
Yeah,
I guess it's part 12.
Was I the only guy who thought he always sat at the desk? Like behind the scenes, he goes up and he's like standing next to all like his workers there, I thought he just stood at the desk and just looked down at the monitor. I was like, oh
no.
Boy.
So a few years ago, I think they would like show more of him moving around and keeping up with it. But no, he's moving. That guy's like
such a nice desk, and he's never in it.
If I was him, I'd want like a big reclining chair and just like a bunch of screens around me, and just be like, "You guys come to me. I'm going to be doing play-by-play for 12 games today. Leave me alone."
Yeah, they didn't. No Octo Box this week because they did it, but they only had 6 games. So
my issue too, we talked about the primetime games. I don't even know which take that was on.
It was on Take One. It was definitely on Take One. Yeah.
There's so many like standalone games with no other games going on, which is fine. Like that sounds good in theory. But when one of the games is the London game, which half of the United States is not awake for at that time, even me, even though it's 9 a.m. in the Eastern time, I'm not awake, really.
That's a you problem, bro. That's a you problem, bro. I never miss a London game.
It's because your team plays in half of them.
I'm not talking. They only played in one this year. The Vikings played in more London games than we did.
But, like, it's just strange because I'm like, but now the 1 o'clock games, the 4 o'clock games tend to suck because they take all the best games out. That's what we were talking about earlier, and I think that led to the whole tangent. But, like, we need some good games in the 1 and 4 o'clock slot. And luckily, today's 4 o'clock games were really good.
Yeah, they were. So we talked about Colts Chargers. Chargers continue to free fall. Justin Herbert's kind of reverting back to what he used to be. Like, got off to the great start. Not going to blame it all on him. The offensive line's been kind of makeshift for them this year. They've had some key injuries. Amari Hampton's out. Like, it's been tough for them dealing with that. But
the run game being gone hurts them because we saw that, like, when Hampton was in there and getting his groove, and even Najee Harris was good in the beginning, like, it looked better. But week 1 didn't really have much of a run game, and they were just passing. It seemed like in Johnston, every beginning of the year looks really good and kind of starts to teeter out a little bit. Keenan Allen looks great. McConkey's kind of stepped up, but Herbert, if there's pressure, it's over. It's really just that's and they lost now both tackles later. Joe Alt's coming back sooner than later, but I mean, I know like obviously you need to have a clean pocket, but like I feel like Mahomes wouldn't look this bad. I feel like Josh
Well,
Allen
no,
would
because
find a way.
we
Lamar
saw
would
it
find a
last
way.
year with Patrick Mahomes. Like we've seen this with him,
Yeah.
like getting pressured. Like it.
That's what I mean is when there's guys at that top who are able to overcome these difficulties, and then there's Herbert who's just as talented maybe at moments as those guys, but that's what keeps him down a level is if he doesn't have that perfect situation, he kind of falls off. And Josh Allen, Lamar, and Mahomes, maybe not even this season, but the last 5 years, if you looked at their resumes, consistently at the top of the AFC, despite who the receivers are, what their offensive line is, how their defense is, they find ways, and Herbert doesn't, honestly.
Yeah, and he's going to be under a ton of pressure on Thursday night. That's their next game. They play the Vikings, so we'll transition into that game. Vikings-Eagles, phenomenal game. Carson Wentz versus his old team. 28-22, the Birds get the win here, and Jalen Hurts played his best game in 2 years, had a perfect passer rating, was phenomenal, finding Devontae Smith, finding A.J. Brown. They were pushing the ball down the field. They weren't able to run the ball, and Jalen Hurts, they put the ball in his hands, and he made a lot of huge plays for the Eagles to be able to get this win on the road in Minnesota.
My main takeaway was that Jalen Hurts did not have a rushing touchdown today, which stunned me. That's all I could really fathom. No, but besides that, we've been talking about the Eagles passing game and how A.J. Brown isn't getting open a lot, but also they're not really looking for him. Devontae Smith has been looked at. It's really been Goddard only in the passing game. The Eagles finally said, okay, A.J. Brown, here you go. Devontae Smith, I think, had his career high receiving yards
He
or
had like
something.
10 or so catches. They were feeding him the ball. He had a
He had some
74-yard touchdown.
personal
Yeah.
career high of something.
Yeah.
And the offense looked good again passing. The one thing that has not had even a glimpse of hope is Saquon Barkley in the run game. Jalen Hurts, tush push still works, but they had the best offensive line last year, and it was not even close.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost Jason Kelce, but they still were.
Well, Jason Kelce wasn't there last year. But...
No, that's what I mean. They lost Jason Kelce last year, and they were still great. This year, I mean, I know there's injuries, but they have most of the guys, and it's not looked good at all. Saquon, this game was getting bottled up every single time. I know the Vikings put all their eggs in the basket of getting pressure and the defensive line and just trying to get to the quarterback and the running back. But it's been the whole season, and that's a problem when you have Saquon Barkley. You gave him all this money, and I just watched that Saquon documentary this weekend from like the last 5 years looking at it. And they're showing the clips from last season. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how good he was. Always busting out a 60-yard touchdown when you needed it most. This year, if he busts out a 6-yard rush, I'm like, wow, good job, Saquon. That's really high for you this game. The offensive line has not been good. Him and Gentee are at like the top for like tackles behind the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just you have him, the top running back in the league, to overcome that. On the Giants, he had a terrible offensive line. This year is not able to overcome it, and it's a little concerning just in the sense of he's older. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have this benefit of like, well, he's gonna get better and he's gonna learn, blah blah blah. No, this is like the best he's probably going to be. If anything, he's going to get worse each year.
First of all, this shouldn't be surprising. If you've looked at every 2,000-yard rusher ever, the next year is always kind of like this. This is kind of how it works. It's the return on investment. You get 2,000 yards. The next year, you're kind of a shell of that because of all the work you get in to get 2,000 yards. Second of all, they are missing Mekhi Becton. I don't think people realize how good Mekhi Becton was for them last year. They moved him into guard. He really struggled at tackle with the Jets. They moved him to Philly. He ended up playing guard, and he was a phenomenal guard for them. He was opening everything up in the run game. They really ran a lot behind him, and it's been huge. And also, Lane Johnson said this after the Giants game. They are very predictable. Like, even today, they were predictable at times, and I think it allows the defense kind of know, okay, they're running, we're pinning our ears back, and we're going after it, and they were stacking the box anyway. So I think a lot of it is that schematic, and as you mentioned, the blocking has not been there. The line has not been where the Eagles have been previously, and that's why today they need Jalen Hurts to overcome it. And Jalen Hurts, I've always defended him. I love Jalen Hurts, and I think he did a great job of living up to his end of the bargain today, finding those weapons.
I'm not really going to give Jalen. I just don't really think Jalen Hurts is that much better than the average quarterback. Honestly,
How many perfect passer ratings have you seen in your life?
I don't know, Adam. I don't keep track of that in my head. But I really think that most quarterbacks in the NFL would be able to replicate his success if they were on the Eagles.
They always say that, but then the Eagles are like, we're not changing. We're paying him just as much as everyone else is, so it's not a money thing, but we're not changing.
There's no but Josh Allen is never going to be a free agent.
Well, no, but I'm telling you now that, I mean, there's teams
And I'm
that you
sure,
could
like,
call and ask.
Geno Smith would not be as good, but, like, do we really think he's that much better than the
Yes.
average quarterback? I don't think
Yes.
so.
I think he is, absolutely. You know
I
why?
don't know.
Because all these other guys get in big spots with great teams around them, and they don't get the job done. Like, you're going to
I
tell me,
think
like,
stylistically, he fits them well, and I think
Yep.
that matters. But just alone in terms of his abilities and talent compared to the other people, I think he's lower, but whatever. My thing is, I know it's predictable Saquon. What I did not expect, though, I thought like maybe an injury would happen or maybe he would slow down, but it's the combination of the offensive line coming like down to earth and also Saquon, like he can't break out anything. And we talked about this in our fantasy football episode of he was like at the top of everyone's board, and I was like, he's a lot riskier than Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, or Jahmyr Gibbs. They're younger guys. They're like entering their prime. Saquon, if anything, is going to be on the decline, whatever. And like we talked about all these things. So we stayed like I told you to stay away from him and whatever. But I thought it would still look better. But I thought the stats might be down. But no, it's been down all around.
Yeah, it is. But guess what? 5-2. They're still all right. They're still in a good spot. And, they're going to be right there at the end of the year. It's the Eagles, man. Just get to the playoffs. That's all they got. That's the plan.
Listen, the Eagles without Saquon were a great team. But the Eagles with Saquon last year were an unbeatable team. Really, like, if you stopped the run, they were going to pass it. And if you stopped the pass, they were just going to run it. It was greatest balance that they could have had. This year, if they don't have the run game, you just have to focus on stopping the offense. And it's Jalen Hurts throwing. If he has one bad throwing game and they can't get Saquon going, they could lose a playoff game. I think that's a little scary than last year. Even though when they almost lost to the Rams, it's Saquon. Has the huge touchdown in the snow, wins you the game.
They did start 2-2 last year. Like that.
It's not about the records, Adam. I don't care about what their win-loss is.
They started 2-2. They looked bad. They almost fired the head coach. Then they won out. And then they won out. And they won the Super Bowl.
Was yelling at the fans. I still don't think that was a good idea.
Well, they did that on the win to get them to 3-2, and then they didn't lose another game. The rest of the year that Jalen Hurts started and finished it. They did lose that game to Washington when Jalen Hurts was concussed in the first quarter and Kenny Pickett was playing. But
I don't care about the win-loss. I'm just looking at what they actually are playing like, what they look like, and it still does not look as good as it did last year. Last year, they lost that game to the Falcons, but they still had a very good game.
Yeah.
Like, they still looked good. This year, they're winning games, but they look bad. It's more like the season 2 years ago.
I know.
When they lost to the Bucs in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it could be that. But right now, it's kind of like you give Jalen Hurts and that talent in the playoffs, and you're going to see what happens. I think that's the goal, is just to get there. They're in first place in the division. They're a couple games ahead of everyone else because the division's kind of falling apart. But as we mentioned, the Eagles, they have a game next week, a revenge game for them, as they take on the New York Giants, who looked like they were going to pull off maybe the upset of the day today in Denver, taking on the Broncos. They led 19-0 in this game, but 33 points scored by the Denver Broncos in the fourth quarter, outscoring the Giants 33-13. I believe the stat was like they were teams like 1,000-0 when leading by 18 points in the last 6 minutes of the game, and the Giants find a way to lose it. And Bo Nix and the boys continue this is their new MO. They did it against the Eagles when they were down 17-3, and now they do it again here at home against the Giants for a huge win for Denver.
I don't understand how the Giants lost this game. I've really looked at it a bunch of times. It really all changed with the Jackson Dart interception, which isn't really fair in the sense of like he did play really well, but like it is true that he turned the ball over.
It was a horrible
The Broncos
interception.
scored.
It was a horrible interception.
They get another stop, and the Broncos score again, and that could have changed the whole game. And then the worst part of it is the Giants scored and had this incredible comeback after they choked it, and then they choked again. 2 choke jobs in the same game. Really impressive. Hard to do, and I do feel better for the Giants. It really does stink when you finally have this momentum, and then, boom, you choke twice to the Broncos. I think if, they're older, kind of learn how to manage a game better. But I just feel like also, too, the Broncos, the Broncos are playing well. The Giants' secondary is bad. What's a little confusing is the Giants are supposed to have this great pass rush. They have Dexter Lawrence. They have Abdul Carter. They have Brian Burns.
Hold
They have
up.
Kayvon Thibodeau. And the Broncos are going to pass, but the Broncos just were able to get anything they wanted, and there was always a guy wide open.
You know why that's the case? This was all on coaching. They rushed 3 on that last drive. You get a sack, the game's over. And you're rushing 3 guys. Brian Burns was ticked about it going into the locker room. Literally screamed, why the F are we rushing 3? And dropping 8. What's the point? He was not happy about the calls by the defensive coordinator in that last drive.
The secondary is terrible, and I think you have to double down on your pass rush, and that's how you're going to try to win the game. They did not do that. And honestly, I'm so amazed that the Broncos won. The Giants, I think, would have been better when Jackson Dart reached the end zone. If he didn't get in, I think they would have been better.
How about Brian Dable running down to call timeout, too? Why would you not let it run a little bit?
I was going to say, let the clock go down at 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then do it. You don't need to give them 40 seconds to go back and kick a field goal. And then the kicker missed the extra point. It was just a Giants' way to loss.
Yeah, it's a bad loss for New York because you feel like you have momentum. You win that game, you're tied with Washington in the division. Maybe you're thinking making a push with Jackson Dart. You get a chance Philly next week, try to do it again. It's a tough way to lose for New York. And Denver, again, finds a way to win. Huge for them, keeps them a game up on the Chiefs. They still have to play them twice, so it really doesn't matter, but it's big for them because the Chargers blew that lead they opened up with the 3-0 start. They got that 3-0 start, but now they've really fallen back. Broncos, of course, continue to roll. I believe they're 5-2 now, and it's weird. I saw someone said where we only have 2 losses, but boy, it feels like we're 0-6. It's because every game it's kind of what are we doing? And then they just find ways to win. The Titans game was a ugly win, and then of course they lose the game to the Colts in the weird way they lost. They beat the Bengals up when Jake Browning was playing quarterback. They stormed back in a game they didn't play really well. They lost the game to the Chargers. They stormed back against the Eagles and get the win. They win 13-11 to the Jets in London. And then this game this week where they had to score 33 points in the fourth quarter. It's they're finding ways to win, which is great. Remember, this is what the Chiefs kind of did last year. So there's a blueprint there for them to get it done, but we'll see if it's sustainable. We'll stick in the NFC East, though. Commanders, Cowboys. Cowboys looked good.
Surprisingly, one of the least interesting games of this hour because this was expected to be a shootout, but Jaden Daniels got dinged up. Another hamstring injury, and it's just every time Jaden looks good, he tweaks something to, It's never been a season ending because it's only the second season, but last year, the ribs, he actually played every game, but he wasn't playing the same. This year, he just missed a few weeks, comes back, hurts his hamstring. Cowboys look great. We saw CeeDee Lamb with George Pickens, and we saw it in the first 2 games, but CeeDee Lamb was here, but George Pickens, we didn't really know his role yet. CeeDee Lamb goes out, Pickens becomes this great guy, and now they're both back, and they're both looking great.
Mm-hmm.
George Pickens statistically might be good, but in watching the game was amazing. The catches that he was making were incredible. Dak was throwing dimes to him. Dak looks amazing. We've talked about that. Javonte Williams looks good, and this is the offense that we wanted to see all year. We called them a discount brand Bengals in the beginning of the year. I think that's now unfair. The Cowboys are just the Bengals from last season.
I'm not going to go that far. I don't think that. I'm still not going to say I don't feel like Dak Prescott's better than Joe Burrow.
I think their offense this year, is just as good as the Bengals.
If they get to 9 wins, remember the Bengals had a winning record last year, so the Cowboys got to get there. But I'm not going to say it yet. They're trending. I'm not going to say it yet. But boy, wouldn't it be
Pickens
nice?
this year is playing just as good as better than T. Higgins was last year. I think it's a little unfair because Lamb got hurt, but
I was going to say if T. Higgins would have got it without Jamar Chase,
but we saw it from Pickens, Chase, and Lamb. I think Chase was amazing last year, but Jake Ferguson is playing amazing.
Yeah, but Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown.
Yes, but the Cowboys have a tight end, and the Bengals had Gesicki.
Gesicki played well last year.
But Jake Ferguson was third entering today with receptions in the league, not just for tight ends in the league.
Yeah, I know.
I think Javonte is way better than Chase
They're
Brown.
playing well. If they can, knock on the door of the playoffs, we'll have a conversation about it at the end of the year. I said they're trending that way. They got to see it. They did lose to the Panthers last week. that did happen.
Their
So,
defense is Rico Dowdle owned them again.
so wouldn't it be funny if this team, as good as that offense is, if they had maybe a best defensive player in the league, elite defensive player, just something.
We saw one of the best defensive outings so far this season by someone who used to play for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they decided to trade him away. Micah Parsons had 3 sacks. Could have had 4, but one was the hip drop tackle. It was all over Jacoby Brissett today as the Packers. They needed every single one of those sacks as the Packers defeated the Cardinals 27-23. Another ugly Packers win. It's kind of been their MO this year. They had the loss to the Browns, the tie to Dallas, but they moved to 4-1-1, so they're in a good spot. I believe that puts them ahead of the Lions because they're ahead in the loss column because the Lions have 2 losses. But not find ways to win. It just, that offense, I think, continues to be slightly concerning for a team that their defense continues to play unbelievable.
Yeah, the Packers, after that hot start they had, their offense, even with a great Josh Jacobs running game, getting multiple touchdowns, they have all these receivers. Matthew Golden was a first-round pick. Romeo Dobbs has played really well. They have Dontavian Wicks. I know Jaden Reed got hurt, but whatever. They have Jordan Love as a good quarterback. It doesn't click in a way that has a real outcome of points. I feel the way about the Falcons too, but the Falcons, I think Penix is clearly, not as good as Jordan Love, but you're looking at the pieces, but it doesn't complete the puzzle. There's something just off with that team. The fact that they're only scoring 27 points today against the Cardinals, you should be blowing this team out, or at least winning by 2 touchdowns. It's Jacoby Brissett. No
one's blown them out yet. The Cardinals don't get blown out. Just the way it's been.
They also were the only team to lose to the Titans. The Cardinals find ways to lose games to bad teams. When you're actually a really good team, you should just easily beat them. But it's just ridiculous. Honestly, I'm kind of over the Cardinals, but just the Packers. It's just, I don't know what's missing. What could you add to the Packers to make them great?
They need Jordan Love to be Justin Herbert from last year, which is not a ton of yards, manage the game, score when you need to score. I think last year Herbert was 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, didn't turn the ball over. That's kind of what they need because that defense can play the role that the Chargers defense played last year, which was the best scoring defense in the league. They need that. Jordan Love has a little bit, we're gunslinger Brett Favre-ish, where he tries to make some throws that maybe aren't there. I don't know. I don't think he had a turnover today, but yeah, it's just sometimes he puts the ball in harm's way. So I think that's kind of where they're at, where they need to just take time, manage the game, and play that. But they want to be explosive. I understand it. Matt LaFleur's been an offensive coach his entire time there, so I get it. But no, they definitely have some holes in that offense that they have time to clean it up. I mean, they're 4-1. They'll still continue to win games, even if they're still struggling like this. But if you're talking about Super Bowl, which I think what Packers fans hope to want to be talking about in January, you got to find ways to fix those little things. I think that's going to take us to our Sunday night game. Niners beat the Falcons. Chris, this was a tough one for you because if you would have won, you would have gone 2 games up, got 2 games back to cut into that deficit you have in game picks, but the losses have now
flipped. Who did I pick in game picks?
You picked the Falcons.
I did? Wow.
Yeah, and I tried to warn you. I tried to talk you. I've actually talked you into taking the Cowboys, which helped you out. But I tried to talk you into taking against the Falcons, but you didn't want it. You didn't want to hear me. You didn't want to hear me out on this.
I believe in all of the talented skill players that the Falcons have. Drake London makes just a one-handed catch, and the moment the ball hits his glove, it's just a catch. There's no doubt. It's not wiggly at all. It's like Spider-Man hands. Bijan Robinson is playing just as well as any running back. The way how elusive he is, he's behind the line of scrimmage. There's 3 guys in front of him, and they still just can't bring him down. Even the bad plays, he makes nothing. Drake London, I said, was good. Kyle Pitts had a great game. No Fred Warner. Really let Kyle Pitts just go out, had a ton of catches and down the sideline. But Penix just has a few plays where you're just like, what are you doing? And he gets the fumble, the strip sack, and the Niners don't really have anyone left on defense. So it's not like these playmakers are coming destroying anyone. It's like Bosa and Warner. It's just guys going in there. Penix makes a mistake, and he lost them. I don't want to say he lost them the game, but he was one of their bigger problems. Additionally, the play calling, some weird times to go for it, not kick the field goal, and then than just a punt when you could have done something else. I don't know. I thought that was a weirdly coached game, and I believe in the Falcons' talent more than the actual team. However, Adam, I do like seeing the Falcons fans upset because I am a Saints fan and I'm a
Yeah.
real fan.
Die hard over there for Chris.
Even if I was like diehard in Saints fandom, the Bucks would still be though a fun team to root for. That
Yeah,
team,
yeah,
that
there
vibe
you-
right now is a little different.
Even though I'm a Saints fan, the biggest rival. Come on, baby.
Their biggest rival is the Falcons. Okay, we hit the Falcons.
The second biggest rival. I think the Saints have
But
hated the Bucks more recently.
You could be the rival of a team and still respect the fact that they have this guy who's always been counted out, playing at MVP level with a whole team of injuries right now. You could still respect it.
Yeah. Who retired Drew Brees?
Yes.
What team retired Drew Brees? What team did they seem to fight every year in the division?
Drew Brees retired on his own terms.
Yeah. After Tom Brady sent him packing. Yeah, that sounds about
Tom
right.
Brady's not even a real Buccaneer.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady. Going back to this game, you mentioned Bijan played well. He wasn't even the best running back in this game, though. Christian McCaffrey was unbelievable in this game for the Niners. Found a way to get him into a win. The Falcons' offense continues to be the most inconsistent group in the NFL. So sometimes they're really good. Sometimes, you score 10 points on Sunday Night Football. It's just kind of how they've been all season long. They've just been so up and down. I tried to tell you, I'm like, hey, the last time they had a big primetime win, because you were riding them off that Bills win on Monday Night Football. I said, then they lost 30-0 to the Panthers. They had the big win over the Bills, and now they come back and, they lose to the Niners. So the Niners keep winning. Niners and Rams still tied at the top of the division. The Niners are getting some guys back here soon, so they're not out of this. Kyle Shanahan, we said when we were talking about Coach of the Year, he's going to deserve some heavy consideration for the way he's kept this Niners team afloat if they can find their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, Kittle came back, and I think just especially in the blocking, that helps so much. McCaffrey had 2 running touchdowns today, so that's 2. That's I think he only had 1 besides this.
Mm-hmm.
Just public announcement to all of the NFL broadcasts. After a play happens and they don't call the flag, you don't need to show me something that we missed that should have been called. So after McCaffrey scored the touchdown to face the game, they're like, actually, he pulled him in. There should have been a 10-yard penalty.
I saw it live. Yeah.
We all saw it live. Like, I don't know the exact rule of like, okay, that would have been a 10-yard penalty. So when they say that, just like, oh, now I feel bad for the Falcons because
that's the point. That's the point.
It's so annoying because they can't change it. This happened a few years ago. Remember opening night? It was Jets, Bills, and the Jets won on a punt return.
Yeah.
After the play, they're like, hey guys, so actually it was a hold on the Jets during the return, but they didn't call it, so Buffalo loses. Mm-hmm. It ruins the moment it makes it worse. If your team lost, you're more upset, and if your team won, you're like, oh, well, that kind of sucks that like, I'm like, that's not even a real win. You got, like the 49ers then kicked a field goal, then the Falcons just have to score a touchdown. Like, whatever. Like, it's so stupid. It ruins the moment.
You want to get mad at me? You really want to get mad at me? Yeah, I got really upset. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck started talking about this pass interference call that was missed one time. I was like, I looked clean to me, so I don't know.
What's different there was that wasn't like a touchdown play to win the game. Like, it wasn't like there wasn't 4th down and they beat the Saints and they're like, well, and I was like, I know you have to mention it, but like McCaffrey scores a touchdown, you should be like, yeah, and it's like
they did. They waited till after the commercial break.
It's just so annoying. Like, it's just so bug because I'm like, so change it. They're like, oh, you can't.
Well, yeah,
the penalty, but like,
here's the
so
problem:
stupid.
is when they don't mention it, then all the fans go immediately on social media and say, "Wow, they're just covering it up." They would have said if the
you have to mention it, but it sucks. It ruins the moment for everyone. It ruins the moment.
So you don't want them to mention it, but they have to mention.
They have to mention it, but it just ruins it for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Like eating
with
vegetables, it's like I don't enjoy it.
They were right though. It should have been a flag.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no problem.
All right. Now we'll go.
Let's get on to our segment, Adam.
Yep. All right. So top 5 games of the year. So we're through week 7. So we still have 2 more games, of course, on Monday night. But top 5 games of the year. Chris, who is your number 5? We're going to waste no time getting into. There's been a lot of great games this season.
All right, my number 5. I have during week 2. Broncos at the Colts. To me, this is the week that we learned that the Colts are actually good, and I'm a very, fond member of this Colts fan base going up against the Jags for the division. But no, it was actually fun to see the Colts beat a good team and I like just, oh wow, they beat a real team. And it was a crazy game. They both were scoring, but then the Broncos kind of stalled out. Then the leverage call at the end was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I will not lie. But the Colts beat a good team. It was very fun to see, and I just liked that the Colts were actually good. And I
No.
think it's the moment we knew that week 1 wasn't just a
Yeah.
fake thing.
Couldn't agree more. I'm surprised you put it on there because you lost money in that game. But anyway,
I'm not a big betting guy.
no, but I just remembered you bet on that game. I remember
Yeah.
because you texted me about it.
Yeah.
My number 5, near and dear to my heart, Chiefs Jags Monday Night Football. Jags win 31-28. Trevor Lawrence, of course, falling down, getting back up and scoring. Huge game in Duval. Really set them off. Great win. So I wouldn't call this, just for a casual fan. I think there's probably games better, but it was a great game on Monday night in prime time, and the Jags find a way to win. Of course, I'm going nuts downstairs. My parents are asleep upstairs, and I'm trying to go nuts, but also stay quiet at the same time. So Chiefs Jags for me is my number 5. I had to put it on there just because, Jags fan, so I have to give it some love.
That one did not make my list, but it was a good game.
I didn't expect it to.
It was a good game. I think the end, like the moment of Trevor Lawrence falling down, makes it more memorable. My number 4, week 5, Bucks at Seahawks. You mentioned how I'm rooting for the Bucks this year. I just like a lot of their players. I like their team. Igbuka played great, and not Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield. This was the moment you were like, I do not care what happens. If the Bucks are within 1 score on the last drive, Baker's going to get it. And it was proven here. In Seattle, he's like, okay, down by whatever, let's go down here, kick a field goal, win the game, like we do every week. And I think it was supposed to be more of a defensive game because the Seahawks have a good defense, but was surprisingly an offensive shootout.
Well, they didn't go down the field to kick the field goal, though. Sam Darnold threw a pick in field goal range, so they just had to basically run the ball down and kick the field goal to win it. But just to say how the game went. My number 4.
Sorry, Adam. Fine. The game was terrible. I'll take them off my list.
Yeah, you can't. I was just saying that he didn't drive down the field. Sam Darnold threw the pick. It made it even better because no one made a mistake that entire game. And Sam Darnold made one mistake.
Like Baker still moved the ball a little bit.
They had the ball at the 40-yard line. They needed like 5 yards.
He did it. Nice shot, Baker.
My number 4 happened today. Giants at Broncos. Broncos winning 33-32. When you have basically 3 game-winning drives in the last 2 minutes by each team, Bo Nix takes you down, gives you the lead. Jackson Dart drives down, gets it back, and then Bo Nix running the perfect fire drills down the field, managing the clock perfectly to kick the field goal to get a game. When you have a team score 33 points in 1 quarter, which is unheard of. So yeah, it was a great game. It was a lot of fun to watch. I think these are 2 fun teams. It really showed Jackson Dart's coming into his own. So yeah, I got Giants Broncos at number 4.
I like Giants Broncos. I like them so much that I have them at. Oh nope, never mind. I cannot see my whole thing. Adam, that's so embarrassing. I forgot to put them in my list.
Yeah,
I forgot them in my list. I put a different Giants game on there. They were supposed to be in my list.
Well, that's too bad.
I can't change it now, but then I would have had to move out Broncos at Colts week 2. But whatever. That game is clearly a top 3 game of the year to me. My only issue with the Broncos-Giants game was that it was so ridiculous. I thought it had to be fake at one point. I was like, this cannot be real.
Yeah.
This cannot be real. It felt like a game of like, it felt like, it's soccer, like Ted Lasso, where it's like, oh, and the goal, this huge, great moment, and then like no one gets back on defense. The next play they score, but then you have to score. I think like a TV show of like this like highs and lows that would be like the Giants game. It really didn't feel real, especially when they came back and won. I was done with the game. I was like, wow, can't believe the Giants won that.
But
then the Broncos scored again.
And they had to win this game because Demaryius Thomas went into the Ring of Fame today for the Broncos. So love Demaryius Thomas, and they won it for him. So that's great.
The Giants missed field goal or missed extra point. I was like, that is not a good sign at all. That just
missed 2 of them.
That screams like we're gonna lose, and it's like, oh no. And then the pass that goes to Marvin Mims, I don't think was meant to go to Marvin Mims.
Intended for Cortland Sutton.
I'm pretty sure it was intended for Cortland Sutton. I was like, all right, if that's gonna happen, the Giants are losing.
Yep.
But
all right, what do you got number 3?
Great pick. Wish I put it in my list. That's embarrassing. The stupid Giants, because the Giants have so many games like that. That's 2 now this year. My number 3, Steelers at Bengals this week. That was our Thursday night game. It was a very good game because, to me, I like games where it feels like I'm playing Madden and I could just spam one player over and over again. And I like fantasy football. Jamar Chase had 16 catches and a touchdown. He was phenomenal. T. Higgins looked great. And on the Steelers side, you got Aaron Rodgers slinging it. And it was a good game. Flacco, Rodgers, two old QBs that had a lot of fun storylines. It was a primetime game in Cincinnati during their whiteout. You felt the energy of it. Divisional game. I was excited for it. Both the old guys balled out. It was really funny seeing Flacco. And after the game, I was like, oh, kind of happy for Flacco. I think that's a pretty funny story. So
Yeah.
I have that. I think that should be 4, but unfortunately I messed up my ranking, so that is number 3.
It's not on my list.
I
but
thought
it was a
Giants
great game.
Broncos was going to be number 3 but I blocked it out, but then I was going to transition then.
Yeah, no,
Got it.
great,
Really
great
upset.
game. Not on my list, but great game. Great game. Had a
Yeah.
lot of fun with it. I do have to say I didn't pay much attention to it because the Blue Jays were playing in the playoffs, so I had priorities elsewhere. My number 3, Giants Cowboys, week 2. Cowboys winning 40-37 in overtime was a great game. Brandon Aubrey hit 2 long field goals to win it. Russell Wilson's really last great game that maybe he'll have in his career. Malik Neighbors went off. Of course, now I think the Giants are missing Malik Neighbors a lot. It was just a phenomenal game, back and forth, both teams. Only reason I have it a little down, I don't think either of these teams are going to be in the playoffs, so I think it's going to kind of be forgotten as that great individual game that at the end of the year, we're not talking about it as much as maybe the 2 games I have above it and maybe what we'll see. But I have that at number 3. It was one of the best games of the year and just phenomenal showing.
I have that game at my number 1. I'm going to spoil it now. They were my number 1 game. Why I think it was so amazing was because we kind of knew it was like the end of Russell Wilson. So it was kind of just seeing him going full, like, all out. Like, this could be one of my last games. He's chucking it deep. Neighbors went off, like you said. And the Cowboys, too, were just... Not only were both offenses going off, they were also, though, blowing the game, both of them at the same time. We had Brandon Aubrey just kicking 60 yards just to tie the game so casually out there and winning it like that. And the Cowboys got stopped. And then the Russell Wilson threw a lollipop, a throwing punt to the Cowboys. So it was an offensive battle, which I love so much, but it's also 2 teams choking the game away at the same time. I loved it. I had that number 1. I understand, though, it wasn't like 2 great teams, but I think it was the most interesting from start to finish of any of these games.
All right.
Now, that leaves my number 2 left. I'm going to get out of the way. Ravens at Bills, week 1. Ravens at Bills, week 1. We thought this was going to be one of the best regular season games ever when we talked about it, saying the last 5 years, it's probably the best regular season game. Considering that the Ravens have looked terrible and that the Bills have now lost to the Patriots and the Falcons back-to-back weeks, it seems like both these teams are a little bit worse than we thought. So it doesn't really seem like this 2 juggernauts at the AFC competing, going at it week 1. It kind of just seems like 2 extremely flawed teams. They both thought the other one was great. And because we didn't know where they were the rest of everyone, we both thought they were great, but turns out they're both kind of not here. So I think in hindsight, it hasn't aged as well. However, the ending was phenomenal. I was a little bit bored by the Bills most of the game, but the Ravens with Lamar, Derrick Henry going off was great. And at the end of the game, the Bills had that crazy comeback.
Yep, fair enough. My number 2, Bucs Seahawks. We just talked about it. Maybe one of the best quarterback duels of the year. Both guys going over 300 yards. Both guys having multiple touchdowns, back and forth. 2 Ohio State receivers going at it. Jackson Smith and Jigba versus Emeka Egbuka was a great game. Was a lot of fun. It was one of those where it was either going to end with whoever got the ball last or whoever made the mistake. And Sam Darnold made the mistake that allowed the Bucs to walk it off and get another win for Tampa Bay. So that's my number 2. And my number 1, we were just talking about Ravens Bills is my number 1. 41-40 was the final score of that game. The Bills, of course, making the crazy comeback. I know you said it didn't age well, but I think historically this will age very well. You know why? Lamar Jackson's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Josh Allen's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Derrick Henry's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. All 3 of those guys.
He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. If he's not, I'll go down there and build a statue of him myself.
They're hard on running backs. They're hard on modern running backs. But, Derrick Henry's going to be there. Of course, had the fumble. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think everyone's going to remember this. They kind of talk about Brady and Peyton's kind of duels a little bit. I think that's going to get in here, when they're trying to put, like, it's Lamar, Josh, and Patrick's era. Patrick and Josh, of course, have the great playoff game in 2021 with the 13-second game. And I think, this is going to be the Josh Lamar game that everybody talks about when they talk about 41-40 to open up the season. So that's why I have it at number one. I think it was a great game. Unpredictability. I think star power. I think it had everything you look for in a primetime Sunday night football game.
I liked that there was a comeback. There was, though, just a stretch where it was really boring to see the Bills on offense. That's why I did not have it one, because Giants-Cowboys, it was so back and forth, whereas the Ravens-Bills game was Ravens, then Bills, and that was it. But I get your point. I think it was a great game. I think how the Ravens finish this year could make me view it differently, but right now I'm just looking at it like, how did we think both those teams were like juggernauts competing for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Those two teams are going to play in the future, and we're immediately going to reference that game. Giants-Cowboys, I don't think we'll reference that game very much.
They already played in the playoffs against each other last year in Buffalo. So I don't know if I'm even going to think of the regular season game or the postseason game more.
I'm talking about, when you look at the pregame package, they're going to have highlights from the Ravens-Bills game, 41-40, and everything like, oh, boy.
When I think of Ravens-Bills, I'm going to think of Mark Andrews dropping that 2-point conversion.
And I'm going to think of both. Mark Andrews dropping it, Derrick Henry fumbling the ball, them not going for it on the fourth down, giving the ball back to Josh Allen to have a game-winning drive.
Yeah.
All of it.
Really excited for the Ravens, that package. My God.
Yeah.
Might have to be making it for only a Bills station.
Yep. All right, we got to get out of here. Chris said we are heavily capped on an hour, so we got to move quickly here for our pain of the week. Chris, you can go first.
Well, once again, our idea of doing a 35-ish minute podcast, shortest ever, did not work, Adam. Especially with our 16-minute take one.
That didn't even count.
I know, that's my point. Is I thought we'd get out of the way, but no. My pain of the week, Giants fans. Talked about the Giants already. Don't need to go over it again, but you're coming off a huge win. You're killing the Broncos the whole game. You feel good. You choke it away. You're devastated. Then you go back to extreme happiness just to get extremely devastated again. Ultimate pain. They're not going to compete for, even the division this year, so whatever. But you want to have a good season. You want to kind of show that you have some life with these young guys, and you kind of hurt.
Yep, we talked about it earlier. My pain of the week, college athletic budgets, Chris. So hear me out. 11 coaches have been fired in college football already. Penn State's job opened up, of course, with James Franklin. Billy Napier got fired at Florida. Stanford's fired their coach. Oregon State's fired their coach. Arkansas fired Sam Pittman. OK State fired Mike Gundy. UCLA fired Deshaun Foster earlier this year. Brent Pry got fired at Virginia Tech. Colorado State just fired Jay Norvell. Trent Dilfer got fired at UAB. Kent State fired their coach back in April. So we've had 11 coaches fired this calendar year. Their buyouts have totaled over $131 million. That means those coaches are getting paid $131 million to not do anything but sit at home and do nothing. That is what they're getting paid. It's a great job.
I want to be a bad college coach so badly, yes. Adam.
But some of them, of course, James Franklin has something in his contract where he has to go look for a job. Then Penn State only plays the difference if he makes less than $8 million a year. So we'll see how much Penn State actually has to pay him for that. But I think we still have more coming. Mike Norvell at Florida State is on the hot seat. Luke Fickell at Wisconsin's on the hot seat. Mike Locksley's on the hot seat at Maryland. Brian Kelly, after their loss to Vanderbilt, is on the hot seat at LSU. If those guys all get fired, that will add another $146 million onto the buyout market. So we are talking over $280 million worth of buyout money. And I'm just trying to figure out where the hell are these colleges getting the money to pay this stuff out? Because it is starting to get crazy. Everyone says, a fired coach is the best job in the world. Can't disagree with them. I think some of these guys have earned their money and now, teams are making moves. But yeah, it's just some of the money that's being thrown around and, just for coaches to not coach, especially now when you have to pay them NIL money, you have to do revenue sharing and all that the players are getting a piece of the pie, which they should be. It's just absolutely crazy. So that's what my pain of the week right now is, college athletic budgets. And I think, it could be on here for the rest of the year with the more firings we have coming.
Somehow they always just find the money. I know, tuition goes up every year.
That's not true. The athletics budget and the school budgets are two different things.
Sure. And I know they go to the boosters, they're like, hey, you guys have money. Let's do some more donations. I don't really know, because it is a lot of money. I'm not going to pretend to know how it works, but, I'm happy that we both graduated before all this happened, and we had to
Tuition's not going
witness
to go up because
No,
Penn
not
State
for
fired their
tuition. I'm
football
saying
coach.
we did not have to like be on campus every day, feeling this dread of like our season's over, James Franklin's gone, Drew's hurt. I was saying that to someone the other day. Like I was upset at first. Like this is Penn State's best chance to win. I just graduated. I missed this whole season. That's so unfortunate. Nope. I was there in the perfect window.
Yeah, but you could have been there for this hockey season, man. Ooh, boy.
I would
Yeah,
not have. That would not matter to me.
You could have watched the guy who's going to be the number one pick and maybe the best hockey player in the world for the next 20 years. So
I really still do not care.
Don't get to say that much. All right, Chris, who you hitting the panic button on? I think I know where you're going after what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, going back to him. Saquon Barkley, officially worried. I think he's extremely talented. And I think I will always look at him and just smile thinking about the fond memories. And I'm not going to say like I'm panicking and that he's falling off, but in the sense of he's not going to be like what he did last year again. Like that would be hard to replicate, but he doesn't look that elite level anymore. He just looks like someone who's maybe a good running back, but someone who needs a good offensive line. Saquon's thing was down the Giants, he was the system. He didn't need an offensive line. They were terrible. He would break 5 tackles before the line of scrimmage, hurdle someone backwards, runs 50 yards to the touchdown. That's hard to keep up all the time, but it does look significantly worse than last year. There's no breakout plays, and it looks like different. He's being hit harder, and just last year was untouchable, and he was explosive. This year he doesn't have either of those things.
Yeah, it's been a tough year to start. We'll see if he's able to bounce back. I'm going to stick in the NFC East. I'm going with the Commanders and Jaden Daniels. I'm going with both of them. Commanders now 3-4 on the year. They were the oldest team in the NFL coming into the year, which I thought was weird because you had a young core and then you just signed a bunch of old guys to play with them, which I was like, that's an interesting way to build a team, but okay, I'm not in charge. They have a bunch of injuries. They're now below 500. They're a game up on the Giants. They're actually a game back of the Cowboys, and they're a couple games back of the Eagles right now. It's not looking good in Washington. Jaden Daniels banged up again. Don't want to label him injury prone, but it seems like he's always banged up. You know, he's never 100%, it feels like, anymore. He was a smaller quarterback in stature, didn't have a bunch of weight on him, so that was obviously a risk coming out of college, and it's kind of rearing its ugly head here. It reared it a little bit at the end of last year and now rearing its head early this season. So I'm a little worried about Washington and Jaden Daniels right now with how they've built things and maybe how they're going to be able to keep Jaden healthy throughout his career if they want him to have a long career.
I think that's fair. I think that was a huge question with Jaden Daniels, coming out of the draft or going to the draft was like, he's a thin guy. He's probably going to get hit a lot. He doesn't really have the ability. He doesn't have that same awareness to not get drilled, kind of runs into people. And that's now becoming a problem. Another part of that too, Terry McLaurin, where has he been? He's had this like ankle injury this whole time. The preseason he was holding out and was injured, comes for 2 games, does nothing, and then is hurt again. And it's not like, oh, he's going to miss 4 weeks. It's like questionable, not playing. I don't know if it's lingering, but I don't know. Maybe they're just not reporting it the right way or whatever to be misleading. I don't know. That's also concerning. And not that he's even that great, but like he's their best receiver and he's barely been out there. Yep. I feel bad. I traded him to our friend Jack Kiefer in fantasy. I got Drake May back and I was like, well, Drake May was like pick 100 and McLaurin was 45, but I need to get something for him. Now I feel bad I traded him away just because I feel bad for Keith because now...
Did you drop Matthew Stafford this week?
I did because I have Drake May and I don't need Stafford anymore. Yeah. Stafford went on to throw 5 touchdowns in a boosted touchdown throwing league. But I will never start Stafford over May if they're both playing.
Would have worked out this week. Would have
I know, but May still got me 30. Leave me alone.
I watched them all. Matthew Stafford played great. I'll tell you, you talk about if it's not Baker, Stafford's got a chance at MVP. He's got a chance. He leads the league in passing. The moment that
started heating up, he lost to the Niners.
But he leads the league in passing, and he's got 17 touchdowns or 2 interceptions. But
the moment he got MVP, he lost to an injured Niners team.
I'm not saying he's going to win it. I'm not going to say he's going to win it. But you want to talk about a guy that's on track? He's well on track. So yeah, I'll watch out for him. Without Puka Nacua today too, looked great. No matter who's out there, they have 4 tight ends.
That's why I picked against the Rams, is their offense doesn't look good without Puka, but.
They look great today. Unstoppable. So, it's a good Jags team, a good Jags defense so far this season. We're missing Devin Lloyd, but no, Travis didn't play defense either today. So, you never know with Jacksonville. But that's going to do it here for this episode. Please subscribe to the channel. Give this episode a like if you liked it. Go check out all the shorts, whether it be on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube Shorts. For my partner, Chris Reynolds, I am Adam Sheets. Thank you for listening.